Ever since a baby, I've been trying to get away, trying to lock in the guap, trying to block with the pain. I'm a blind old boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the box till I'm copping the pain. We off to the stars, we're a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitches are jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know what your boss, I got Richard and Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like the ran do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, not taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in a great estate.
Welcome back, everybody. This is our Sunday pregame show, but we're bringing it to you on Saturday because we do.
Yeah, hey guys, welcome. Sorry?
Oh, I said yeah, because we do fucked up shit like that.
Yeah, because we mess around, we just move around and do those kind of things. But yeah, this means that you guys can watch it now when you've when you get the notification on YouTube that says, "Oh, they've gone live. I better jump in and see what's going on." You can also now watch more of the show tomorrow as well. You can watch it a bit now and a bit tomorrow, and then that's great. A bit of a shortened show here. We're going to go through the 3 segments today. I'm going to do a quick video of the Brits picks tomorrow as well. Just a quick 10-minute one tomorrow. So tune in for that. But we have the reaction to Thursday Night Football. We've got our predictions for Sunday football, and we have our fantasy players of the week to go.
Maddie, did you do your overreactions? I didn't get to watch the show.
Yeah, I did my overreactions. Let me try and remember what they were. Actually, Jay, do you know what? Because we didn't get to hear your overreactions, do you have some overreactions for?
I do. And I also want to know if you talked about Al-Shaair being suspended, because that's something. Okay. I'll just give you my overreactions really quick then before we go in. The Bengals may have the worst defense in the NFL. Number 2, a lot of you motherfuckers owe Nick Sirianni an apology.
Yep.
And it's time for the 49ers to look for a new quarterback.
Oh, wow. That's a big one. That covers a lot of what we're going to be speaking about on the show actually today. So, Jay, on the show, I said, if Jay is watching, he'll really like this bit. But Nick Sirianni, I apologize.
Okay, fair enough.
On the show.
I like that because, and also, just so motherfuckers know, rookie MVP, Bucky Irving, regular MVP last week, Saquon Barkley. And lovely. My honorable mention was Brock Bowers for rookie MVP.
Brock Bowers was my rookie MVP of the week on the show.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels was my actual MVP, throwing 4 touchdowns and of the week as well. So I had 2 rookies. I had the MVP was a rookie and the rookie MVP as well. But yeah, I came out after the show and went on the show and said, yeah, Nick Sirianni. I still have some questions about your character just in general, but you let your coaches run the game, and that's what great head coaches can do, right? You run the show from the top, and then you let your coordinators take their parts of the game, and you've put a great coordinating staff together. So Nick Sirianni, apologies from me. Well done.
That's the one I wanted to get in there the most, is that a lot of you motherfuckers owe Nick Sirianni an apology. And I even wrote down a lot of you motherfuckers. I even put in my notes because I wanted to stress motherfuckers in there. Like he's 8-0 and motherfuckers are like, fire him.
Yeah, no, they've put together a really good team, and he oversees that in the way that to win games, right? Like he oversees that, and they win games, and that's all you can do as a head coach there as well. A lot of what you spoke about, weirdly, Jay, is stuff that I've got in for the questions going forward as well. We'll talk about the Bengals defense because we've got the Bengals against the Cowboys coming up, and we'll talk about the 49ers and what they need to do going forward and what are some moves that they should make as well, Jay. But I thought we could start in Detroit with the Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. The Lions come out winners in that game. Jay, did Dan Campbell's players bail him out again?
Absolutely, and fuck the Packers because I cheer for them motherfuckers and they can't help me. But my neighbor walks out yesterday when I'm pulling in for work just to catch me, and he's like, I want those motherfuckers again in the playoffs. That was his exact words. I want those motherfuckers again in the playoffs because I feel like Packer fans feel like they were the better team in that game. I don't know if I feel that way like overall, but they should have won that game because Dan Campbell's a fucking moron.
Yeah,
man, we're going to go for it on 4th down on our 30, man, on our own 30, man. We're going to give them points, man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's like Dan Campbell listens to the outside noise, and more importantly, it's like he listens to the crowd when he's in a stadium. So it was like he was in the stadium and all the Detroit fans, it sounded like they wanted them to go for the 4th down. And that's why your head coach exercises a bit of caution and says, okay, let's calm down here. Our defense is playing really, really well considering how many injuries it had on this team. Let's put them in the best position possible. And they didn't make the 4th down. And he listens to the fans and he plays into all the outside noise, which is the opposite of what you want your coach to do.
In the same game, it's 4th and 1 on like the 49, somewhere around there. Jordan Love looks at the sideline and goes like this. And guess what? LaFleur sent the punt team out. He didn't give a fuck what Jordan Love wanted to do. You know what I mean? He played, he coached the right way. Dan Campbell, we said this, and I beat the drum, and you've agreed and said it too. He is going to cost them in the playoffs with a call just like that.
I mean, he already has. Like in the NFC Championship game, they didn't change the way that they play, and they let the 49ers back into the game. This is my theory on it, and it's Detroit has been the underdog for 40 years. Now, Detroit is the best team in the NFC on paper. Like, with all the injuries and stuff like that, it's now the Eagles.
In the NFL.
Yeah, like, probably in the NFL.
I think the Eagles might be better, but I'm not mad at anybody else who says otherwise. Right.
Yeah, I think the Eagles might be better if you take in the Lions' injuries. Like, if you take in the Lions' injuries issues, then the Eagles are better. But a fully fit Lions team and a fully fit Eagles team is an interesting toss-up. I was actually talking about this on the show on Thursday and saying how it's strange how the AFC is all build teams around their quarterbacks, and they have these star quarterbacks. If you look at all the best quarterbacks in the NFL, most of them in the AFC, and then the NFC goes for super teams. Like the 49ers have injuries and like got loaded too heavy, but Brock Purdy, super team. Jared Goff, top 10 quarterback still, but around a super team. Jalen Hurts, again, in that top 10 quarterback to top 15 quarterback range, like in there, like builds a super team around him. The Cowboys, when they were winning 12-5, like same again, it's about the team, right? And it's strange how the NFC all goes like that. And the Lions have that. The Lions have that team, and Dan Campbell is using it as if they go into every game like they're underdogs. No, you're the stronger team. Play to win. Just play to win the football game. And me and you, we hate prevent defense. We hate when teams get really. We're not saying like take your foot off the pedal. We're just saying, oh, you've got a defense with a lot of injuries. These young guys are doing really well against a decent offensive team. Maybe we give them the respite and we don't give them the ball back in their own 30.
They turn to the prevent defense too soon.
Yeah.
Like if you're up by, I don't know, 11 points with a minute and a half left. Okay, I get the prevent defense. You're up by 2 scores. Like they go to it too soon, I feel like, and it becomes a weird thing. Also, I felt like the Packers started to figure out how to pick apart that beat up Detroit defense. And the thing with that beat up Detroit defense is it's not getting better. All these guys are not coming back. Like, I don't know what they do. They're in the middle of the year and they made some things happen with the pass rush, but I feel like moving forward, they're fucked when it comes to the pass rush.
It reminded me of the Cowboys versus the 49ers game, where the Cowboys go in without Micah, without D-Law, without any of their defensive line, basically all injured. And Zimmer comes out and says, oh, we're just going to come up with crazy rushes the entire time, and it worked for the first quarter and first quarter and 3 quarters. So basically the first half of the game it kind of worked, but then the final drive of the first half, you could see that the 49ers had worked it out and got unlucky to miss a pass. That's what it looked like last night to me. And I'm going to be interested to see if Aaron Glenn, I always blank on his name, which I think is a really good sign of a defensive coordinator, weirdly. Like if you can't always remember their name, but you know they're good, like it means that no one's talking about them. And usually we talk about defensive coordinators in a bad way. So Aaron Glenn, it reminds me, it'll be interesting to see what he can cook up like as we're going forward. And I think Dan Campbell is really lucky to have this coaching team underneath him of Ben Johnson, definitely, and Aaron Glenn as well. Will they be the offensive and defensive coordinators for Detroit next year, those two guys?
Maybe defense, right? But no, Ben Johnson's leaving. He ain't going to say no 2 cycles in a row because you only got so long to be hot. And he's the hot name. So right now, he's probably the guy who's got the pick of the litter, right? He's probably the guy who's going to be able to pick his landing spot. And when we get to the Bears, we'll talk about some numbskull shit that just came out this week on how they ended up keeping Matt Eberflus over a guy I still can't believe that this is out there, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
There's guys that are going, right? And that Bears job, I think, is one of the hotter jobs, and I pray Ben Johnson does not end up there.
There's a lot of hot jobs this cycle round. I actually felt like the jobs last cycle were pretty good as well, but this cycle, there's the Bears job, which we thought would be in the last cycle. There's probably the Cowboys, it looks like, will be a job that's available as well. The Cincinnati Bengals we'll get to. I think that'll be a job that'll come available too as well, which will be exciting.
Brown still owes Zach money. So that's where I come because he's cheap.
Yeah.
Do you think Ben Johnson regrets not taking the Commander's job and turning it down now?
With the way that Jaden Daniels looks, maybe the way that he looks and is coming out. But I think for the Commanders, what really changed it for them is getting a grown-up in who's done this before. Like, I think the Commanders needed someone to do that so we can say, like, oh, the Commanders look amazing. They do have Dan Quinn, who's an excellent defensive mind, who the Commanders wouldn't have been getting if he wasn't the head coach. And they have Cliff Kingsbury, who's an excellent offensive mind. So maybe Ben Johnson doesn't change life there. I think the Chargers job, but I mean, obviously we're going to talk about why Jim Harbaugh was available for the Chargers as well, right? Was available for the Chargers as well.
I think Cliff Kingsbury will be a head coach, maybe not this cycle, but within a year or two again.
Yeah, definitely. I agree as well. Bobby Slowick seems to be a name that's quieting down in the Texans, and look out for that. Like if you're a team that's not looking for the big dollar guy, then Bobby Slowick's probably your answer as well. And I think Aaron Glenn has everything it takes to be a head coach as well. And Dan Campbell's really lucky to have those guys. Jay, we've kind of touched on it already, but what went wrong for the Packers in this game? Because the Lions were the better team. The Packers could say that they're the better team, but we've got to remember the injuries for the Lions and those kind of things as well. But the Packers did have the opportunity. So what went wrong for them in that game?
I'm being funny and dead serious. The first half is what went wrong for the Packers, right? Like there was something, and I watched it all game, and he's never going to change. Jordan Love and throwing off his back foot is becoming ridiculous. He's got to stop.
Yeah, the question is, can he stop at this point?
I don't think
that's
so.
The question. I think it's part of his entire mechanics now. He needs that. He needs to get somebody in there and work that out with him, because when he does it and completes it, it's amazing. It's an impossible throw to defend because as you're coming through to sack, it's what happened to the Cowboys. It's when everybody was looking at the Cowboys versus Packers game in the playoffs, everyone's like, oh, the run game. It wasn't that. It was we couldn't sack Jordan Love because he couldn't stop throwing really accurately off his back foot. Like Micah Parsons was on the next step to sack him, but because he could throw off his back foot. So it's an amazing skill to have.
It's a tool.
Don't do it every throw. It's not a mechanic, it's a tool. There you go. That's the
Yeah, it's a tool you use when you have to, but he was throwing off his back foot when there was no rush.
Yeah, definitely. That should be the short title for this, by the way. Jordan Love, back foot. It's a mechanic, not a tool. That's the one.
There you go.
A tool, not the mechanic. But yeah, I think that Jordan Love, without being their problem, is a problem. Like, he's not the reason that they lose.
No, but he makes it harder.
He makes it much harder, and he's just good. It's not he's just good enough. He's good enough to be their quarterback for a long period of time. But I don't think they'll ever make it if he continues to throw like that. That's where they are with Jordan Love, I think. Yeah, which must make you feel kind of good.
And Christian Watson is hot and cold in the same game. Not even like for a game or two, like on and off. But on the reverse, talking about the Lions, this year, St. Brown has been like absent for most of the year, where he's there, but he's not contributing. Is that the Justin Jefferson effect, or is it something else? And I'm not sure.
I think we might be going. I said it on the show. I think we might be going back to run game NFL. Like it looks like we're back in the run game is the way to win games in the NFL. It always has been. You've always needed a run game to win in the NFL, but now I feel like everybody's caught up to the pass. If you have a Sonic and Knuckles, David Montgomery, Jamar Gibbs in the backfield, that's the way that you win games. And that's the way that the Lions win games, which is why their over-aggressiveness in head coaching decisions is a detriment to them, because they can just control entire games if they just play field position, run game. And it's fun. It's fun. Like, the Lions are fun when they're playing against someone that they can just beat up on. They're a fun team to watch. But when it's a close game, they don't play it right. And I think it's run game NFL. And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown has come up with big plays throughout the year. It's the same with Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta hasn't been as big of a deal this season. But every time they seem to need him, he pops up like at that point.
When I need him in fantasy, he don't ever pop up. But okay.
What do you need to go through in fantasy to get rid of Hitman this week?
No idea. I just know I got to win and some other shit's got to happen, which pisses me off because I literally have one loss in one of my other leagues and I'm number 2 in the other league. And this one, I'm just fighting to get in. And those are paid leagues, and I could give a shit about them compared to the league I'm fighting that's free. So it's a weird thing.
This is the one that we all actually give a fuck about. Like, that's what I've realized when talking to, because I only play in one league. I'm too committed to like the one. I spend too much time on just the one team. Like, I can't like do it on any others. I wouldn't have a life. So, but what I've realized is people actually really give a shit about the Yankee and the Brit League, which is good fun. All I know is, Jay, I have to be Hitman for you, and you have to win. But then there's head-to-heads and all of that shit. But anyway.
Yeah, I have no idea because we're also jam-packed that there's going to be guys with the same exact record who don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's because it's head-to-heads and stuff like that. That means you go through. But yeah, a lot going on there. And I honestly think Dan Campbell another lucky escape. And I think he proves us right every time. Which is weird to say, considering what we were just saying about Nick Sirianni, right? Like, because Dan Campbell also wins games. But I think they win him in spite of him rather than because of him.
And there's always something to point to. Always something to point to with Dan Campbell.
Yeah, like with Sirianni.
Hi, Daddy.
With Sirianni, you can see that he's with Sirianni, you can see he's not the problem when they lose games. You can see he's not the issue. Like, he never makes himself the issue. Whereas Dan Campbell, you can see very clearly he makes himself an issue there. One thing I will say about Detroit, I don't want to play Detroit in the playoffs. Like, I don't want to play them in the playoffs. I've always wondered until now why Detroit has a roof on its stadium, because the way that they should have been trying to win football games is like just cold weather, run the fucking ball hard, like all of that when they weren't very good, right? It becomes a bit of an equalizer. But now with the roof on, the noise that is generated in that stadium because it's a group of fans who haven't had anything to cheer about for 40 years is crazy. Like, you could see it affecting the Packers. I don't want to play them at home. All right, Jay, moving on to tomorrow's games. It is week 14 in the NFL. Jay, I'm not going to lie to you. I found the picks really hard this week. I feel like there've been more on it. I feel like last week I just read through and was like, oh yeah, this is a piece of piss. I've decided who I'm going for. This is fine, right? But this week I find it really difficult. Like, the spreads are massive on the favorites, and then there's a few that are really close and can swing either way. And we'll see. This might be the make or break week, Jay, for our records in this going forward. Jay, the Eagles are going up against the Panthers. The Eagles are 12.5-point favorites. Are the Eagles built for a point spread this size?
Yeah, they can score points. My problem is that the Panthers are playing better, a lot better, and that's why I'm taking the Eagles to win, but I'm taking the Panthers in the points because the Panthers have been playing lights out the last couple of weeks. Grant for them because they're a shit franchise right now. So relative to their talent, I think they keep it within 2 scores. Now, do they win? Do they lose by 13 and then I fucking get mad? You know what I mean? Whatever, but. Yeah. The point spread's so big. The Eagles win this game, but I think the Panthers cover the spread.
Yeah, I think looking at this game for me, I just go, the Eagles are a 2-touchdown. They look to me like a 2-touchdown team on the Panthers. They run the ball
the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. The Panthers, the Eagles, they really do control games, and their defense is so strong. Going forward. But I mean, the Panthers, you can say the same about the Chiefs, and they went close with the Chiefs. So it's a difficult team, but I just think the Eagles actually want to blow out people as well. Like with the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs want to win football games, and that's all they want to do. The Eagles, I think they also want to blow out football teams the way that they run around the field here as well. Jay, I was giving massive props to Dave Canales on the Thursday show. I said that one of my overreactions was that he is the quarterback whisperer. Like that is who he is. Dave Canales, head coach of the Carolina Panthers. How much credit does he get for Bryce Young's improvement this season?
Well, I need to know, do we give people credit for making a situation worse and then it getting fixed?
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm not sure, because he made the situation worse.
Yeah, I agree. At the start of the season, he came in and he made the situation got worse. You don't bench your young QB of the future. That never seems to work. Apart from, it's now seemed to have worked twice this season. Anthony Richardson is playing better, still not to his full potential. I think Anthony Richardson has more in there. It's will we ever see it? And Bryce Young has come back and looks great. So maybe Canales just said, this is what he needs. Like, maybe Canales is the perfect guy for bringing people back in from the cold. So Baker Mayfield looked dead to the NFL, like when he got cut by Carolina or traded by Carolina to the Rams. And then he had that crazy game for the Rams as well coming in. But then he goes to Dave Canales and is playing lights out football. So yeah, with Canales. But I think he's doing really well with what he's given Canales, whether you give him credit for this or not.
Yeah, I think he's doing great with doing a good job as a coach. I just don't know if you get credit for making a situation worse and then fixing it. I'm not sure how that works. And then with Anthony Richardson, that was a benching because you did a dumbass thing. Bryce Young, you benched because you were like, we need to win games. Do you? You need to develop your fucking quarterback is what you need to do. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it seems like the benchings worked, even if it was a dumb idea anyway.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, because Anthony Richardson got benched for tapping his helmet and doing that dumbass shit. You know, not so much his play on the field. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've gone for the Eagles in that one. Jay's gone for the Panthers in that one. Huge point spreads. Really difficult pick. Don't bet that game. Just don't, like, unless you have a habit of putting like $1 on every game, but don't bet that one. Okay, guys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 6.5 point favorites against the Raiders. If I remember rightly, Jay, yes, I do. This is one of your lock bets of the week. The Bucs to win by 6.5 points. Jay, is Baker Mayfield the long-term quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you go? He's a really solid quarterback. You build around him. You can win, like you were talking about in the beginning. You named a bunch of teams who have good quarterbacks, not great, and built around them and are winning.
Yeah, and it's the NFC way of doing things, and important to remember that the AFC have dominated the Super Bowl recently, but that's just because the Kansas City Chiefs have been dominating the Super Bowl, and then the New England Patriots as well just before that. So, but the NFC, getting to the NFC Championship game, it's about having that team, and I think the Bucs are building that. I think Tampa next year, not going into the next season, the season after that, they could be a head coaching spot for someone who's really talented as well. For me, Todd Bowles is the person who's keeping them behind.
Payne gets mad at me because I say that they should fire Todd Bowles all the time.
Yeah, I would get rid of Todd Bowles here personally, just because of the way that the NFL works. I don't think he's a good enough defensive mind to justify not going and getting one of the hot offensive guys as well. So Baker Mayfield, I think, is long-term in Tampa. And also, doesn't he suit Florida? Like, doesn't Baker Mayfield suit Florida? Like how Gardner Minshew also suited being in Jacksonville. Like, like those kind of crazy fucking guys like suit Florida. That's where they should be.
Yeah, and then this poor guy suing his parents and fucking they stole $12 million from him. Baker Mayfield, that's wild.
Yeah, that is crazy. I love Baker Mayfield. And Jay, with Mike Evans, however long Mike Evans is going to be there for, they're an amazing duo. Where does Mike Evans rank among NFL top tier wide receivers?
Yeah, that's a good question because he's definitely a Hall of Famer, but without going through a list, right? And I mean, probably top 10 still without, having a list, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer for what he's done over his career. And he doesn't kill you with his speed, so I think he can play longer.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, like 30? Is it 10? It's above 10 straight seasons with 1,000 yards, receiving as well. Like he's crazy. And the Bucs immediately looked better when he came back.
He is Mr. Consistent. He is Mr. Consistent.
Yeah, and it's whenever you watch a big play, you think, oh, Mike Evans, he's there. Like he just pops up out of nowhere. And also, as a fantasy player, Mike Evans, if you've got like a team that's really up and down everywhere else, Mike Evans isn't going to win you a week, but he's going to score you around 15 points like every single week just because of who he is. But he won't win you a week, but he's just super consistent. And finally, Jay, on this game, what do you like about the Raiders team? Because it's 6.5 points as a spread. So I think that's a pretty decent size spread. Is there something that you like about the Raiders team that makes you second guess this one a little bit?
Max Crosby.
Brock Bowers.
I like Brock Bowers. I don't think that's even a big enough spread for this game. That's why I was like, this is the one game I think I felt comfortable when I picked it. Like, oh yeah, the Bucs should beat them by more than 7.
Yeah, I agree with you on this one. I think the Raiders have been playing really hard football. I think they always do. Like most NFL teams do, right? Most NFL teams play hard every single week, and I think they do have talent there, like some really serious blue chip players in Crosby and Bowers. So they just don't have a quarterback. Jameis Winston should be a Raider next year. That was one of my overreactions. That Jameis Winston has to stay in the NFL.
Shakur Sanders all but said he was going to be a Raider next year. So,
I mean, if the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL, then that the worst team in the NFL then matters. The worst team in the NFL. All right, okay.
I think Deion's going to be like, he's not playing for you. He's not playing for you either. Yes, he'll play for you. And people can say, what's he going to do? You can sit out. That kid's got money. Don't forget all of his NIL deals. Plus, his dad is Deion fucking Sanders. Like, I think Deion's going to do the – and I don't understand why people are so mad. Well, I do. It's closet. Well, but are so mad about what he's doing. But no one said shit when Archie Manning did the same shit. I wonder what the difference is there.
I wonder what the difference is there as well. I wonder what the difference is there as well. All right. So I'm going to take the Bucs in that one as well. I think the Bucs are a much better team than the Raiders. Also, shout out to Bucky Irving. Great pick for rookie MVP because the guy's a freak. I wanted him to be a Cowboy so bad.
Yeah, he's tearing it up in fantasy. He's been helping Payne out too.
Jay, the Dolphins are 5.5-point favorites against the Jets. Again, another spread where I'm like, oh, this is a little too much for me to feel comfortable with. Jay, is the Jets defense good enough to slow down the Dolphins?
Look, I really wanted to pick the Jets in this game, but they have fucked me so many times. Everything in me is telling me pick the Jets. The Jets are going to win this game, and I can't. So, yes, are they good enough to do it? Yes. Will they do it? They have enough talent. I don't know if they're good enough. They have enough talent to do it. Will they do it? I have no idea. I'm picking the Dolphins in this game, minus the points, and it's going to come back and kick me right in the ass because as soon as I bail on the Jets, who I've been riding with all year, you know they're going to come around and fuck me in the end. Like, they're just going to come back, and I'm just not sold on the Dolphins either, and I think McDaniels might be in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you on McDaniels. I'm not entirely sold by the Dolphins here. I'm definitely not sold by the Jets. I'm taking the Dolphins in this one of 5.5 because I agree with you. I just don't think you can trust the Jets at all going on here.
My gut tells me the Jets are going to win too, but I can't do it anymore.
Mine too. That's what I mean here. Like mine too. I think the Jets defense actually matches up quite well against the Dolphins offense. That's the other thing, because how do the Dolphins beat you? They beat you with speed. Well, the Jets cornerbacks are very fast. Like normally you get some good quarterbacks who get totally exposed by a defense like the Dolphins. Good cornerbacks because they're really good positional cornerbacks. But to beat this team, you just kind of have to be fast. Like, yeah, read the game and all of that kind of stuff. You have to be able to do that as well. But just when you're going one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, because that's the situations they managed to get him in, you've got to be fast. And the Jets have that on their side of the ball here as well. Jay, just quickly while we're on McDaniels here, was Tua the only reason that the Dolphins season got derailed? Was Tua's injury the only reason?
Probably not. I mean, you're going to see people, and I can see why they would say yes, but the coach that Tua's injury has me now questioning the coaching.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It definitely has me. Questioning the coaching, as well. I think Tua and McDaniels are a perfect combination with each other. So I think they do stay together and they work really well. I think McDaniels has created an offense that works really well for Tua and Tua's talents, things like the anticipation that Tua has, but it doesn't like play too much on his arm strength and those kind of things. With Tua, like the kind of no-look flips behind the back and all of that kind of stuff. I think that works really well. But was Mike McDaniels stuck because he just created this crazy offense around Tua and there was no one who could replicate that in the quarterback position, which I don't think is true with Huntley, who came in with him? Or is it he can't coach any other way and that's the team and that's the only way that he can run it?
Yeah, because it has you watch other coaches lose their quarterback and they still figure out, even if they don't win, how to move the ball, right? Like Kevin O'Connell went through it. You watch Sean McVay figure out how to do it with different quarterbacks, and you watch a carousel of quarterbacks go through San Francisco. It's got to be coaching, right? Like there's got to be something. So like it's almost like Tua is the only guy who can run McDaniel's offense or something. It is weird.
Yeah, it is a really strange thing. Jake, the one thing I kind of want to touch on the Jets here is, did you see Aaron Rodgers' ex-fiance's comments?
Actually, I was going to ask you, who was it, which one, and
Okay.
what did they say?
Okay, so basically what I was going to say to Jay is, does Aaron Rodgers' ex-fiance's comments in the news this week show kind of how like
that
how he ruins the locker room, how he
is it the
struggles?
chick from the Divergent series, or is it Danica Patrick?
It's Shailene Woodley, which
Yeah, the
I
chick from the
imagine,
Divergent movies. Okay,
yeah.
What
She
she say?
basically she's basically come out and said, I haven't shared much about my relationship with Aaron because it always makes me cry. It was not right, but it was beautiful, which is kind of one of the most Aaron Rodgers things I've heard. She basically said that she's recently emerged from her own rebuild. I had a really traumatic thing happen in the early 2022. And she said about her relationship with Aaron that I felt like I lost my soul, myself, my happiness, my joy. I really understood depression and anxiety, like complete soul detachment. She chose to remain in a toxic situation. She says because she was empathizing with someone else, is basically what she said about her time with Aaron Rodgers.
I have heard that he's like very controlling and like he doesn't trust people, which probably has a lot to do with his family and the way they treated him. Because it's kind of like why Eminem doesn't trust women. Like had like but yeah, I've heard that. You've heard that from Danica Patrick and the other chick he was dating for years, who was on that HBO political series. I forget the fuck her name too, but like she was like, yeah, he gets weird, like doesn't trust you when you go out with your friends and that kind of shit. And I always wonder, does it come back to people with bad family, relationships? If you can't trust your mom, do you trust any other woman? That kind of thing. I don't know. But Aaron Rodgers has always been beat up as a, I guess, toxic boyfriend.
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of shows in his NFL career. Like I think you can see it. Like no judgment here on Aaron Rodgers' personal life. Like we don't know anything about it. Like we're never there. Don't know anything about it. So I'm not judging him on what has been said by an ex-fiance. Ex-fiancés can be like pretty scorned, like sometimes and stuff like that. So not going to judge him too much on that. But just the comments, and when I was reading them, I was like, do you know what? Like that makes total sense. Like Aaron Rodgers needs to be, when he goes into he left a good situation in the Packers. Like it turns out that the Packers actually did know what they're doing. They've rebuilt quite well without Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. And he left to go to an organization where he would have total control, and the total control isn't working for him there. And he always has to have his guys that he trusts in the building. And if you're not listening to any outside influence ever, then you're always going to struggle to get better. You're always going to stay where you are. And I think if you look at Aaron Rodgers, you can kind of see that there. So no judgment on his personal life, but I think it's just an interesting comment into looking at Aaron Rodgers. We've kind of defended him a little bit, saying he's not the main guy at fault for the Jets. There are other problems in the Jets organization.
A lot.
It's not to do with Aaron Rodgers, but he is part of the problem with who he is.
More than one thing can be true. Like he can be part of the problem, but there's a lot of other problems but they're trying to take care of because they're cleaning house.
Yeah, they're getting rid of everyone. What do you think about them, like not really ruling out an Aaron Rodgers benching?
I think you got to say what you got to say, but who are you going to put in there, right? Like who?
Tyrod Taylor.
Huh?
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, you're going to do that to a 4-time MVP, first ballot Hall of Famer when your season's already shot. Yeah, that's kind of like when the Giants benched Eli Manning and then tried to go back to him. Like you ruined that streak of Eli's. I don't know if you guys all remember that. Like
Geno Smith came in.
Yeah, and it's like fuck are you doing? Your season's already fucked. You ride out with class with a first ballot Hall of Famer, and if you want to move on from him after this, then move on from it, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is, it's like it doesn't even matter how he played this year. You're so far into being shitty that you just ride with it, and fuck it, keep losing games because you need a quarterback. Like I mean, Go up and see if you can get Dion to let Shedeur Sanders come there. I don't know. But I think there's a way you treat certain players in this league who have transcended shit. And Rodgers has brought all of this onto himself. All of this, I'm immunized. I fucking all this other shit. I need control and all this. But it doesn't change the fact that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you've got to show him some kind of respect on the way out the door.
Yeah, it also doesn't change the fact that the Jets are a dysfunctional organization as well. Rodgers is dog food. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure that that's right. We'll have to tune into your show definitely. But the Jets isn't Aaron Rodgers, but the organization as a whole. I think we're on that kind of scale, but I do think that Aaron Rodgers contributes to the problem. Aaron Rodgers isn't fixing the issue. Aaron Rodgers is contributing to the problem of the dysfunctional Jets.
You know how they sometimes say you're too smart for your own good?
Yeah.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers, he's a smart dude. I don't think he's necessarily too smart for his own good. I think he thinks he's smarter than he is. Yeah. And at times it comes back to slap him in the face. Like he thought he was slick with that I'm immunized comment. Yeah. And I don't care if he got the vaccine or not. I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
But he outsmarts himself.
I think with Aaron Rodgers, I saw this comment, so I'm stealing a comment from someone else, and it's not about Aaron Rodgers, but it applies here. Thank you very much. I'll take that. With Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers is the kind of guy who owns 4 thesauruses but no dictionaries. Like he can speak really eloquently, and he does all of that kind of stuff on the show of being smart without the background stuff. And he's a smart dude. Like obviously you've got to be really smart to get to that stage, but I think he does too much with it. Like I agree.
And it's always funny to me that I'm the Vikings fan who's always defending
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's the weirdest shit, because it'd be easy for me to pile on, but like I don't care about your off the field personal shit, right?
Yeah.
I care about your greatness on the field. I don't care about your political affiliations when you're an athlete. I don't give a fuck about like what you think other people should do. I don't give a fuck if you're trying to sell me something. Like you're not that important to my outside life that I give a shit about any of that. It's just what you do on the field. I just think 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's just let him ride the season out playing no matter how it goes and then move on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, while we're finishing off with the Dolphins-Jets game here, Tyreek Hill just had his 11th child, which means Phillip Rivers needs to grow his roster so they can have a game against
Who the fuck are they hanging out with? Elon Musk? Like, I mean, these fucking kids. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, like Phillip Rivers.
Never heard of a condom. I just wondering.
Maybe he just likes having. Maybe he just wants to like if you're gonna pass some genes on, it maybe as well be Tyreek Hill.
Okay, but right? Can you imagine the child support bill that motherfucker got every month? Like for real. Yeah.
Something tells me he's not that bothered about it.
Kanye West has to give up $200,000 a month to Kim Kardashian. I'm just saying.
That's a totally different thing. That's fucking madness because Kim Kardashian, they don't need to give each other money for child support. That's dividends for the two of them. Jay, you went for the Dolphins in that game, even though you're going against your gut in that one. Okay, so the Steelers, moving on to the Steelers, Browns, the Steelers are 6.5
that comment, favorites. Hold on, that comment got me dying.
Aaron Rodgers sounds like he will likely be a novelist in a couple of years from the way he speaks. Don't be surprised if he writes another North Dallas 40. See, I don't know that joke.
Look it up after. That'd be too much of a left field. Look it up after the show.
Right. Okay. Cool. That feels like too much of an American joke for me, but I hope you all enjoyed it. It's clearly funny. Like Jay got it. The Steelers are 6.5-point favorites against the Cleveland Browns. Jay, what do the Browns need to do to change going into next season? What do they need to do?
Their quarterback. They need to change their quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Kevin Stefanski's what, a year off of being coach of the fucking year, or 2 years off of being coach of the year. Like, it's not like he can't coach. And Jameis ain't the right guy either, though. Like, but you already know I have this weird thing with Jameis is corny as fuck, and it drives me insane.
I love it. I love a guy who can talk about going into battle and bring the gospel together in the same the same things that he's able to talk about. Sorry,
I muted you for that. Okay, I muted you for that. All right, go
on. Interesting thing he's able to do. Muted me before I got myself cancelled. Jake, for me, what I think the Browns need to be able to do is, I think they need to be able to just say to the owners, like, take a step back, like, just let us run the football operations, give Kevin Stefanski the entire controls, get rid of the GM, bring in a new GM, and get Kevin Stefanski's approval on the GM. I would give Stefanski the controls here and let him run with it, because he's done a really good job with everything he's able to do in a really dysfunctional organization. It's again the same. The Browns, the Jets, the Jags. Dysfunctional organizations will always be dysfunctional until you change them. The Lions have had a change. The Lions seem to 3-4 years ago say, okay, we stop now and we'll slowly build up to where they are now. The Browns, the Jags, the Jets, they try and do these big, massive moves, that Deshaun Watson move coming off of Baker Mayfield, instead of actually just layering the foundations up and just saying, okay, we're not going to win right now. We're going to layer them up. We're going to wait until we find the right guy, and we're going to make sure we're in a good situation once we get there. It was the same with the Houston Texans once they went to their GM, the guy from New England. Okay, I've forgotten his name. I'll look it up. But that's what I think they've got to do. I think, like, they've just got to. The fish rots from the top down, right? That's where the Browns kind of are. I like Jameson. I like Jameis Winston. I like him a lot. I think he's good for the NFL. But if he's your quarterback, you don't want him. Like, that's where he is. I like players like that in the NFL. Will Levis as well. Ryan Fitzpatrick, those kind of guys. But I don't ever want them to be my quarterback. Yeah. Jay, in this game, so 6.5 points. So the Steelers are heavy favorites. The Steelers are killing it this season in the AFC North. They're top of that division. What is the Browns' pathway to win? Because for me, I can actually see a way that the Browns win this game.
I mean, you got to ride Nick Chubb. You got to ride Nick Chubb if you're going to win this game. I don't think they can win this game. After watching the Steelers and the Ravens game, I was like, damn, I've kind of picked the Steelers as my little sweetheart team I've been following this year. But, man, after I've watched them play the Ravens, I was like, they are for fucking real.
Yeah, I always pick the Steelers, and the Steelers is one of my sweetheart teams as well that I really like this year, until I see the fans waving those terrible towels. Like that just, they're so corny. Like, so corny. That's what I hate about American sports. Like that terrible towel. It's just like, oh, stop it. But yeah, I love the Steelers, and I love the way that they play. And I think that Russell Wilson is having a great season, and he's just completely rejuvenated his career. I think the way that they win is Myles Garrett gets after Russell Wilson, right? Like, if Myles Garrett is able to get off the line, get after Russell Wilson, then they can actually do something here. I agree with you. Try and control the game through Nick Chubb. But I wouldn't rein in Jameis Winston, because either he goes off and they win the game, or he costs them the game. But I think you've got to take those risks when you're going into a divisional game where you're a heavy underdog.
Yeah, I can't bet with anybody who eats W's.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know.
That's a
Jameis is like, and Jameis is so excited to be playing. I'm like, when I watch him talk, you're so excited for him, but it's like he's so fucking corny. I'm like, I don't understand how he can galvanize a locker room.
Yeah,
because grown ass adults are gonna get driven mad by that shit at some point.
He seems to galvanize a locker room, which is quite nice there. Jay, is the Steelers' defensive line gonna wreck this game?
Yeah, the Steelers defense is going to tear up that terrible Browns fucking offensive line. And I think Jameis is going to be running for his life, and he's going to end up throwing 2 or 3 picks.
Yeah, that's the way I see the game going. I do see them having a route to win. I was surprised by the 6.5. It's important to mention that in the past couple of games, like they've against the Broncos defense, they scored 32. They scored 32 points against the Steelers. They just beat the Steelers, you know.
So did the Steelers trade a disgruntled wide receiver just in time?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Get rid of disgruntled pieces out of your locker room.
And now the Ravens are like, we got to suspend this motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Got to get rid of him straight. Got to get rid of him straight away. As soon as you see that, you've got to get rid of him. I think the Steelers have been guilty of holding on to disgruntled pieces for too long, as well. Important to remember as well, the Steelers are coming off, like they got beat by the Browns the last time they played in a snow game, and I feel like the Steelers D-line is going to come back with a vengeance here. So give me the Steelers in that one. Jay, you're taking the Steelers at 6.5.
Yeah, and I forgot who on the Steelers said it, but they're like, "You're not better than us. The weather just helped you."
Yeah, definitely. That's why I think happened there. Jay, your Vikings are 5.5-point favorites against your ex-quarterback, the Atlanta Falcons. Does Kirk Cousins' time in Minnesota give him a better chance of reading this defense?
I think it actually hurts him more. 1 year with Flores, half of it you were injured. The defense is way different than it was last year because the pieces are all different, but they know you. People are like, oh, Kirk knows the Vikings. I think he knows the Vikings better, or I think the Vikings know him better than he knows that defense. Also, when it comes to this game, the more I watch the Falcons this year, Gibbs was a better draft pick than Bijan Robinson. Bijan doesn't have that burst, which is actually kind of nice. The only thing that really scares me is Gilmore's out and half the Vikings defense is questionable, including Van Ginkel. But I think the Vikings defense could wreck shop on this offensive line given the right opportunity. And Kirk's on a 3-game losing streak. Can he get it back together? Maybe. I think right now he's sitting in Atlanta going, why the fuck did I leave Minnesota?
Yeah. For me, I think looking at the thing is with that defense and the way that the Minnesota Vikings have got it and the way that Brian Flores has got it, he's just added so many wrinkles. Like we started to see it at the end of last year. Like me and you, we watched those games and we said, everybody watch out for this Vikings defense because no one was talking about it because it was terrible to start. It was terrible to start the year, but they started to get into the grip at the end of last year, and that's what Kirk will have seen. And now going into this season, they've added more and more wrinkles to that team, and I think they might have something special for Kirk Cousins. I think they'll have a few wrinkles in there, especially for Kirk Cousins on things that they know he finds difficult.
And think about it. Their secondary besides Murphy is completely not their corners besides Murphy are different. Mm-hmm. Their Greenlaw's there instead of Hunter. Cashman's in the middle. Van Ginkel's on the team. Like it's a completely different roster than when he was there also on that defense.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard a lot of love for Kirk in this game with this point spread. I don't agree with it. I said on the podcast last week, I said, look, Jay's going to probably love hearing this. Are the Falcons' weapons just completely overrated? Like, do they have overrated weapons? Is Kyle Pitts a massive draft bust? A tight end that you took at 4?
Where you drafted him. Yes, absolutely. And look at the guys they passed up to get. Isn't that Micah's draft?
That is Micah's draft. That's how Micah got to 10.
Yeah, like I'm just saying. So, and then Drake London can catch if you get it near him, but he's not going to break away or do whatever. Whoops. Bijan Robinson, good running back. But again, where you drafted him becomes an issue because what could you have got in that top spot with, somewhere else? And I think when it comes to the Falcons, they're just a good team. That's it. They're just a good team.
Yeah,
they're not great. They're not horrible, but they're not great. They're just a good team. I think the Vikings are a better team. Again, the Vikings do not like to win games by more than one score. So give me the Vikings to win, but give me the Falcons and the points because I think they'll cover the point spread, but I think they still lose.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Vikings to get the point spread in this one. I feel good. I feel good about this Vikings team. I feel like Sam Darnold has started to play some really good football now. I was talking about Sam Darnold on a podcast on Thursday, talking about how just look at the coaches who like Sam Darnold. If you're worried about Sam Darnold, look at the coaches who like Sam Darnold. Kyle Shanahan really likes Sam Darnold. Sean Payton really wanted Sam Darnold. KOC is more than a trustworthy coach to go on quarterbacks, and he likes Sam Darnold. Like, that's what I need to see. And I think he's got back into a good rhythm recently, not throwing the ball away. Aaron Jones is really great. A running back here. And Jay, just to finish off on the point with Kyle Pitts here, I think he might be heading towards the state of bust. He's definitely a starting tight end in the NFL. So, like, he's not, but like, he's still a good weapon. But they passed up on Jamar Chase. So even if they didn't want to go with the defense, Jamar Chase was the 5th pick in that draft when Kyle Pitts was the 4th. Penei Sewell they miss out on. J.C. Horn, okay, but Patrick Surtain, and then the big one of Micah Parsons as well, Rashawn Slater. Like, they've missed out on some really big players. Penei Sewell might be one of the best offensive tackles we've ever seen. And they could
Which that means that was the Christian Darrisaw draft, and minus his injury, one of the best left tackles in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. That is a crazy draft of offensive tackles, by the way. Sewell, Slater, Darrisaw. That is mad. that is a crazy draft. We haven't seen an offensive line draft like that for a while. But yeah, Jay, while we're talking about Kirk Cousins here, then I talked about it on the show on Thursday. I think Kirk Cousins is still more within his right to be the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback, but just because everyone's been talking about it, should Michael Penix be starting for the Atlanta Falcons?
Not until next year at the earliest. And what do you do with Kirk's $100 million contract too? Like, I'm not sure how this works. I'm still confused on the draft pick. And it's not that you picked him; it's that you signed Cousins for $100 million and then drafted him. I'm still very confused on this. And then people want to act like, and I'm not saying he can't. You know, I really like Michael Penix coming out of college. We don't know if he can play. The motherfucker threw like 12 NFL passes in his career. We still don't know. And you have a chance to win that division still. Why would you move on from Kirk Cousins while you're still in the hunt for the playoffs? It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, so just the Atlanta Falcons are tied top of the division with the Bucs at the moment. Like, everybody's acting like, oh, they're terrible, they're woeful. They've had a 3-game. I think they're only a game behind the one of the wild card teams, the Commanders too. I think they're only a game behind the Commanders. Yeah, they're on a 3-game losing streak. They're still tied top of their division. That's where they are right now. Like, the Falcons are a decent football team. I think the problem with the Michael Penix pick is who they didn't get. Like, when you look at just to put this Brock comment Bowers. On again, Brock Bowers, but the Falcons' defense is largely piss poor. That's because they don't have a pass rush. They could have had Latu in that draft. They could have had Latu, who went to the Colts. Turner. They had a pick of defensive players. Byron Murphy at defense. Jared Verse. Jared Verse, who looks great for the Rams. They could have had all of these guys who would be making a difference for them right now. Like, I really get when people say it's never bad to have another quarterback, which you're right. It's never bad. Like, they're not in a bad situation because of it. But that just means you're going to have someone that isn't making a difference somewhere. You've either paid $100 million for a guy who's not making a difference, or you've given your first round draft pick to a guy who's not making a difference. When you could have had Jared Verse, you could have had Latu, you could have had Byron Murphy. You had your. I don't think there was a single defensive player picked by then. They had the choice of the first defensive player they could have wanted off the board, and then it just in the scheme of NFL, and then at least Penix is at the Raiders where he's actually playing. Yeah, exactly. It was strange. Strange pick.
Strange pick. So yeah, I'm taking the Vikings in that one. I have full confidence in them. Jay, we're at an hour already. This has been a good one. I've been enjoying it. We've got action in the comments, so everybody make sure that you guys like and subscribe, and make sure you get in the comments. You see that we put your stuff up and we answer questions and all of those things as well. But Jay, let's just go quickly over a couple of games here where I'll be surprised if many people are watching them. Let's just say that. Jay, the Giants are playing the Saints. The Saints are 4.5-point favorites, which I find quite strange. I'm not really sure where the Saints are as an organization. What do you think on this game?
Can I pick neither? Like, I don't. This is the fucking game. Give me the Saints minus the 4.5 because the Giants are just a fucking wreck right now. To answer your question that I see on here, should the Giants have got rid of Daniel Jones? Yes, just because of the $20 million guaranteed next year if he gets injured. Because they're not going to win nothing. He's not going to be there. So, yes. But you don't have a better replacement.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Lock is better than Tommy DeVito, is what I'm going on here. So Daniel Jones, yes, they were right to get rid of him because they're not doing anything and they would have been on the hook for an extra 20 mil. So right to get rid of him. But Daniel Jones they'd have a much better chance of winning this game if they had Daniel Jones at quarterback. Let's just put it that way. Drew Lock was a lot better than Tommy DeVito, I thought, going into this game. So that's why I'm going to pick the Giants in this game because the Giants defense is actually pretty good. If especially stout against the run. So if they can stop Alvin Kamara and then you make the Saints throw, although Valdez-Scantley's had a really great comeback season here as well. So I'm going to take
Kamara, the backfield, catching passes. I don't know. I hate this game, but give me the Saints. You're taking the Giants. So
I'll take the Giants in this one. I hate that one as well. Jay, the Titans are going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Titans are a 3-point favorite. And Jay, we both took this one as a lock bet of the week. Why for you are the Titans a lock?
Because the schedule was so fucked with point spreads. It was the only one of the games I felt like, yeah, the Titans could win this one by more than 3. Also, I'm just not a big fan of Mac Jones, and the Jags are in disarray. And if Doug Peterson is not fired at the end of the year, I will be completely shocked.
Yeah, I'll be thinking, what has Doug Peterson got on the owners there? Like, if he manages to keep his job, I don't mind that they're keeping him. It looks like they're keeping him to the end of the season now. Like, I don't necessarily hate that. It just means you can't like get looking for replacements as early on. But if you've already decided he's gone, then I suppose you can start interviewing and looking for replacements as well. Jay, for me, the Titans are a lock this week because of their defense, which like Jaden Daniels, and the Commanders made look terrible last week, but it's actually quite a stout defense. They don't give up a lot of yardage. They play really tough football. And I like Will Levis. He makes stupid decisions, and I don't think the Jags are good enough to punish Will Levis's stupid decisions this week. So that's why I'll take the Titans as a lock here. For me, they've just got to run the ball behind Tony Pollard. That's it. That's what they've got to do. Keep the ball running.
Did you see Tom Brady saying that quarterbacks should be penalized for sliding too late? I don't agree with that, but I think they should stop calling penalties if the quarterback slides too fucking late.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is obviously Trevor Lawrence is out of the game. The reason that we're talking about Mac Jones is because Trevor Lawrence is out of the game. So let's take a minute to talk about that hit. What was his name? Al-Shaair?
Yeah, Al-Shaair.
I feel quite sorry for Al-Shaair because of the way he plays football. Like he if you watch any of him playing the game, he's just a guy who drops the boomstick on every single tackle he tries to make. And it's not something that I love about NFL tackling, but it's something that I love about the NFL. I think you get more missed tackles because people try and lay down the boomstick. But what you also get is just like the craziest hits and why the NFL is so loved around the world.
And you're sending a message
because you've had it.
You're sending a message. Catch that ball, and I am going to fucking punish you.
Yeah. However, he should have been suspended
No,
for
he
what
shouldn't have.
happened. He hits him right in the head, and he was
Because
sliding. He was obviously sliding.
He'd have hit him right in the chest if he didn't wait till the last second to slide.
Lawrence was obviously sliding there.
Not by time he was going. No way. No way.
No, Lawrence was obviously sliding. He was never taking.
This is why Tom Brady brought that up.
I think so. I totally fucking get it. Like, I get it when it's Patrick Mahomes pretending to go out on the sideline.
I even said in our group chat how ridiculous that was, that fucking penalty.
I don't know. He smokes him right to the head. I think you have to have an element of control.
And blame Patrick Mahomes. Don't blame these guys. Patrick Mahomes and his fake stepping out of bounds and shit is why these guys get lit up. And then if you're going to wait till the last second to slide, if Lawrence decides to slide a yard sooner, he doesn't get hit. But he wants to wait till the last second because he's protected. Well, I don't know what the defensive player is supposed to do. And then you suspend him on top of an eject. I don't know. I used to just like, this is fucking, we might as well just start putting flags on these guys.
No, I think you've got to maintain some element of control with your hit, right? And he didn't. He wasn't.
He
looking
lined
at
him
the
up
tackle.
in the chest, and then he goes down. I mean, what
he
is
wasn't
he supposed
looking
to do?
at him. To tackle someone, watch them until the last point. Like, you don't need to just smoke someone. Like, you don't need to do that. When you know, like, we all knew that Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to try and truck the linebacker. If it was Josh Allen, I get it, but we know that Trevor Lawrence isn't going to try and truck the linebacker. We know he's going to slide.
So he's supposed to change the way he tackles, risk getting injured because it's a quarterback.
He's not going to risk getting injured tackling against Trevor Lawrence, but it's not the way he.
If you change the way you tackle,
I think the way that they're tackling there is fundamentally wrong. Like, in the way that they tackle,
because you're coming from a sport that doesn't need to drive fear. And the truth is you keep comparing rugby and football, and they're not even close to the same thing all the time. Like, you don't strike fear into a rugby player. Like, you strike fear in the NFL. That's part of the game. Like, I am going to light you up, and you're never going to run that ball again. You're never going to catch that ball across the middle, or you're not going to come up the middle of the thing. I don't understand what these defensive players are supposed to do. And then the NFL is reaching in their pocket, grabbing their money every week.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's one thing that I definitely don't like. The fines for a lot of the hits, I don't like. I think with the quarterback, I understand the protection. Trevor Lawrence is now out for the season because of this hit, and it shouldn't be because of the consequence.
Soon enough.
The penalty shouldn't be because of the consequence and those kind of things as well. Trevor Lawrence will slide earlier next time. I agree with you on that because he knows he'll get fucking lit up. Right?
I mean, it's not like the Trent Green hit back in the day where they like headhunted him. Like, and then Alshir's never been a guy to headhunt either. This is like, I don't get where the NFL just picks and chooses who they want to suspend and when they want to do it, and we can go back through the year and pick out 5 hits that were probably fucking worse, but nobody gets suspended. This is, I don't know, and I feel like they're punishing a good team for something that a quarterback on a bad team decided to do.
I think with the tackle, I think that you do need to maintain an element of control, and I think he did. I think he lost that element of control there, and the element of control comes from just watching the tackle. And rugby, as a 10, like the position that I played in, I can guarantee that people did want to strike fear into me. I can like the amount of times I've been smoked to the ribs is different, but we can't do the slide. I understand what you mean. Like, we can't do the quarterback slide. Like, that's not the way that
because
rugby.
If Trevor Lawrence never slides, that's a hit right in his chest, and that's where my like intent has to come in. Like, I just feel like the defensive players are always getting fucked, and what are they supposed to do? And then when does it become a time where it makes the NFL worse because guys are just like, I'm not playing defense anymore?
Yeah, I agree with you on. I agree with you on the whole instant. I don't agree on that particular hit, but where I do agree with you is Patrick Mahomes, like, not going out of bounds, like faking going out of bounds and stuff like that. Lamar Jackson basically running on his running very close to his knees. Like, have you seen that touch football move that they do in like professional touch football where they like duck underneath the hands and like run through with their knees that far off the ground?
No.
So, it's crazy. That's what Lamar Jackson does. Like Lamar Jackson does this all the time. So it looks like he's going down, but then he runs through like with his knees that close to the ground, but he's not technically down.
I just can't believe you think he should have been suspended. That's where I'm just baffled. But we don't always have to agree.
How many games did he get? It was 3 games, wasn't it?
I'll look right now while you're doing.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 games. I think 3 games is steep because that takes him out basically to the end of the season. What I do think also played into the suspension, though, and the size of the suspension was the aftermath of the hit as well. And it's NFL guys like playing the NFL game. It's a tough sport, and like you get heat up in the moment and stuff like that. But Al Jazeera, I keep on. That's a news thing in the Middle East. Al Shair, he
3 games.
3 games. That basically takes him out to the end of the season. I would get 1. I would understand 1. 3 is too many. Al Shair has to get escorted out by police at the end of the to get off the field because of what happens and the words that I said and those kind of things. But we pump up NFL players so much and then criticize them when they go over the top a little bit. You know what I mean? Like NFL players have to be so pumped up emotionally to go out and play an NFL game.
And now this guy just lost 3 game checks.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's fair. I think 1 game is where I would have been putting it at just because of like he hits him in the head, and I feel like you should maintain some. But the reason that I say that is a safety thing more than anything. But I think Trevor Lawrence should be sliding over as well.
And that's my question. And we got to move on because we'll keep going. But at what point does it fall anywhere on the quarterback to protect himself?
Yeah. I think that's a really, really fair point. And I think you have to slide early. As soon as you become a designated runner, then they're allowed to hit you. Right?
There you go. You know what? Every time a quarterback slides late, fine his ass. Don't even give a penalty. Yeah. Fine his ass. Because they want to find the defensive players all the time. Find the quarterback for sliding late or too late. And then maybe these quarterbacks won't want to lose a fucking $100,000 and they'll start sliding a little sooner.
Or you go out and you hit them. Because Trevor Lawrence is never sliding late ever again. Like he has no idea. Whereas,
don't get me wrong, I feel bad. I even said in the comments that was brutal for Trevor Lawrence. But I don't think there was any intent to this, and that's where the problem comes in. And I think Trevor brought some of it on himself.
100%. Imagine Trevor Lawrence waking up though, not knowing where the hell he is, what day of the week it is, and just a check comes in from the just a bill comes in from the NFL for not sliding late enough. Pretty brutal. Maybe on that hit we just say, and Trevor, you could have slid a step earlier. Like if it has to be egregiously early, right?
Trevor Lawrence could play again this year, but they're smart for just holding him out the rest of the year.
Yeah, don't, because you may as well lose some more games anyway. Okay, Jay, we're both taking the Titans at 3 points there. Let's move on here to the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm taking Al Shair.
I
said I'm taking Al Shair. That's what I'm taking.
By the way, I actually love Al Shair as a player. I think he's one of the more underrated players knocking around in the NFL. Like I actually really like Al Shair. Jay, the Cardinals are going up against the Seahawks. The Cardinals are 3-point favorites. Jay, what is the key matchup in this game? Who do you think is going to win?
If the key matchup is Kyler Murray versus that offensive line, if they can keep him in the pocket, neither team, I don't know what team is going to show up for either of them at any day of the week either. I still do believe that the Cardinals are a better team, so give me the Cardinals -3. A lot of that has to do with the quarterback play. And we can go through. I'd probably call the receiving core a wash, maybe edge to Seattle a tiny bit just because of the speed. But running backs, probably a wash. Defense, both teams are hit or miss depending on the week. So For me, Kyler Murray -3. Give me Kyler Murray. I'm taking Kyler Murray. I'm not even taking the Cardinals. I'm taking Kyler Murray.
For me, I think the Seahawks have been playing much better ball over the past couple of weeks than the Cardinals have. I think they're a much more well-rounded team. I think the Cardinals in spots are brilliant, and then the Seahawks are more well-rounded and maybe even a little bit more consistent. But so I've got the Seahawks here. We've got a lot of different picks on this one, but this is what we were saying at the start of the show, where it's really difficult. It's a really difficult one. A really difficult week. Jay, the Rams versus the Bills. The Bills are 3.5-point favorites. This was one of your locks of the week. Jay, why is this a lock of the week?
Just because the Bills are playing for real this year.
Yeah,
and this is a rough week for picks again, but the Bills are for real.
Yeah, I think with the Bills, they're playing their best championship football that they've played in a long time. I think their championship window is more open than it's ever been. And I think that's largely because Josh Allen is actually playing his best championship football. And that doesn't mean he's playing his best football. It means he's playing his best games in terms of not giving the game away here. Not giving the game away in terms of the way he plays football for them. And I also think their defense is going really under the radar. Their defense is actually really, really good. The Rams have a really great young defensive line. I found this game harder to pick. It's why I wouldn't have made it a lock, but I've gone for the Bills as well in this one. I think the interesting question with the Bills this year, sorry, Jay, is that them getting rid of Stephon Diggs has actually made them better. And I think, do you think it's now a time for wide receiver by committee rather than just these star wide receivers?
Well, I think the problem was that Stephon's getting older too, and he wasn't the star wide receiver he was years prior. Also, I warned these Bills Mafia fans for 2 years that shit was coming, because it was Stephon Diggs and it was the same pattern you watched go down in Minnesota. So I think if you got the right wide receiver, you're good. But I always think no matter what, you need that speedster to take the top off, and then you can build around there. If you want to call that your number one, your number two, whatever, you need the top off the guy. But I think if you look around the league and the teams with elite wide receivers, you definitely still want a Jamar Chase. You still want a Justin Jefferson, a CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
You still want these guys, a Deebo Samuels, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder, though, with the running back position kind of making a comeback, will wide receivers go back to being... You've got a devalued position somewhere, and maybe wide receivers will go back to be in a more devalued position, then the running back will be...
What they need to do is start devaluing some of these average-ass quarterback contracts. But
yes. Yeah. Or start taking the... If it's just going to be the thing where it's just, if you're the next quarterback up and you're half good, then you get the massive contract. Maybe it's time to talk about a separate cap for quarterbacks, isn't it?
Or maybe it's time
to put quarterbacks off the cap.
Maybe teams just need to start moving off these mid-level quarterbacks who want $50 million a year.
Yeah, grow some cojones, you know, and take that risk. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I think the Rams.
Brock Purdy's about to get paid $60 million a year. And I like Brock. I've stuck up for him, but it's Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Jay, just to finish off on the Bills here, how much do you read into a snow game? Like in a game like that, where it's that difficult to actually play the game, how much do you read into that?
That's the problem too for teams. Like Buffalo gets I live in Wisconsin. It snows. Buffalo gets that shit in a matter of an hour, like that heavy of a snow. I do not know why they are not building an indoor stadium. We've had to move games. We've had to cancel games. We've had to because they can't shovel it out and all this other shit. Why they're not doing it, I don't know. But I think that I like some of the snow games, but Buffalo is one of those places where it hits so hard and so fast, and it becomes ridiculous because the ground just gets so slippery.
Yeah, but Buffalo have actually made a team that's somehow built for the snow. Yeah, that would be it. Say that to the Miami Dolphins if they have to go up to Buffalo during the playoffs at any point.
Right?
I think with Buffalo, they've also weirdly created a team that just plays really well in the snow. Like Josh Allen is the perfect quarterback to have in the snow. Got a strong arm and can run the ball. Perfect. There you go. Snow time. So yeah, I didn't read too much into them dismantling the 49ers in the snow because Buffalo are meant to play well in the snow and the 49ers are not. And the 49ers are just super injured anyway, and all their best players got injured, and we lost Christian McCaffrey. And talking about that, Jay, the 49ers are going up against the Bears. The 49ers are 3.5-point favorites. Jay, are the 49ers in rebuild mode?
They're going to have to retool after this year, definitely. And their problem right now is they can't get any pass rush. They just can't get any pass rush and play the way they're used to playing. And again, Brock Purdy's a good, serviceable quarterback, but the more I keep watching, and you're gonna have to pay this guy $60 million, maybe it's time to find a new quarterback.
I agree with you. I've said the same about Brock Purdy the whole time. Brock Purdy is fantastic in the 49ers system. But do you know who else had a better passer rating in his career in that same system? Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo had a better career passer rating than Brock Purdy does. I think it's this season than Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan has created the perfect system for a quarterback to just come in and run. Like Sam Darnold can run that system. He wouldn't want Sam Darnold because he throws too many interceptions, but he's the kind of the guy that can come in and do it. I think Daniel Jones would be an interesting pick for the 49ers to pick up because he's a smart guy who can run the ball and run a system. I think Justin Fields would be an interesting guy for the 49ers to go in and pick up. There's all of these guys there. And does Brock Purdy, if I'm the 49ers, I'm calling Brock Purdy. I'm calling his bluff and saying, do you want to go to any of these teams that are willing to pay you this money? How are you going to look playing for the Cleveland Browns? You know, like how.
If Jimmy G has better numbers than Brock Purdy, then the moral of that story is Brock Purdy just needs to start dating porn stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get better looking. Jimmy G just looks like is probably the best looking quarterback I've ever seen.
Well, he was dating that porn star and got a lot of heat for that for a while. So yeah.
But yeah, I agree
was like,
with you.
leave this 25-year-old kid alone. He's dating a porn star. He's having the time of his life. He's 25. Just leave him alone.
Leave him be. He's a good-looking guy. Good-looking 25-year-old guy making a lot of money. He can date whoever the fuck he wants. It's a left field. Here we go. Yeah, I think that Brock Purdy is. I think if they give Brock Purdy $60 million, that's going to be really detrimental to their ability to retool the franchise, rebuild the franchise. They could keep Deebo Samuels if they wanted to. With that money, they need to go get some defensive line. I agree with you. And with Christian McCaffrey out again, what does that do to the 49ers offense going forward?
Well,
and what does it mean for Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco?
And this Achilles thing and that he had at the beginning of the year is never going to go away. It's just will it flare up or not is the question. Mm-hmm. You just paid him a lot of money, man. You got to start to figure out how to get out from under some of these contracts.
Yeah, if it's me and I'm the 49ers, I'm trading away some of my best assets right now. I'm maybe tagging Brock Purdy and you don't need to tag him at the moment actually because he's not.
No, you can still play him another year and then tag him and tag him twice, so you can have him for 3 more years.
Yeah, you could have Brock Purdy for 3 more years and just never pay him. That's what I would do. It's a really fucked up thing to do, but that's what I would do. Like if I've got this guy under $1 million.
San Francisco's already proven all you got to do to get paid is to hold out.
Yeah, exactly. So grow some huevos, grow some cojones and call them out. Like call the guy out and just say Brock Purdy, fine. Like we're gonna bring in Justin Fields, we're gonna bring in Sam Darnold, we're gonna bring in Daniel Jones, like guys who can play, who have proved that they can play football at the NFL level, even if they're a bit inconsistent about it. Like bring in those guys and say, okay, hold out, and we'll see when you come back. You know, maybe trade him. Like, do you get a couple of first rounders for Brock Purdy? That's what I would be looking at. right now with Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. I think they really need to get younger everywhere on that team. Jay, with the 49ers at 3.5-point favorites, does the new head coach bounce mean anything for the Bears in this game?
Maybe. But he's been their offensive coordinator. Maybe they're all just so happy Eberflus is gone because they were taking shots at him. But to me, it didn't matter because I'm taking the Bears in this game plus 3.5 because I think the Bears win this game.
Yeah, to me, this is one of my locks of the week on the Bears at 3.5 in this game. For me, I think the 49ers are a team that are kind of just falling apart, so injured. And I think that Eberflus was the reason that the Bears haven't won games in the past 2 weeks. Like, the Bears have played well enough to win 2 games in a row. The 49ers have been destroyed, like, in their past 2 games as well. I love this comment. This is a great comment that we have here. That they're having about the same year as Dallas with injuries and the defense not playing very well. But the difference is the 49ers are actually still kind of in it because their division's really tight. I feel the same with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys, now that they're not injured, are playing a similar way there as well. I'm gonna take the Bears in this one still as my lock. Jay, the Chiefs are going up against the Chargers. This is one of my games of the week, and I like that this is in the position it's in. I think this is going to be a really great defensive game. Jay, are the Chargers more like the Chiefs than the Ravens?
No, and the Chargers are about to take a world-class ass whipping without J.K. Dobbins. World-class ass whipping. Give me the Chiefs -4. It's probably a double-digit game. The Chiefs are going to light the fucking Chargers on fire without J.K. Dobbins.
I disagree with you. So I've taken the Chargers
You
as
can be
one
wrong
of my
if you want to.
I've taken the Chargers as one of my lock bets of this week, a +4. I don't think they're gonna beat the Chiefs necessarily, but I think this is going to be such a close game. One score, field goal in it. As you say, this week has been a really difficult week for bets and lock bets. So if I'm +4 on the Chargers, I'll take that. That's fine. What I mean is I think the Chargers play a very similar style of football to the Chiefs. When people were calling the Chargers Ravens light, I think they might actually be more closer to Chiefs light. Herbert, great talent at quarterback, probably top 5, like definitely top 10, around the top 5 in terms of talent. And we're starting to see him produce, but they're playing defensive ball, running the ball, and a great culture, and they win in close games. That's what they've got this season, and that's what the Chiefs also have this season. I think it's people's not evaluating the Chiefs correctly and the Chiefs' new way of playing the game. The Chargers are a couple of weapons away, in my opinion, from being a really great team. So I'm going to take the Chargers in this one, and they're one of my lock bets of the week.
You do realize it took 4 Kirk Cousins interceptions for them to win that last game and only scored 17 points without J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I realize that. I think they're going to find a way to. I have full trust in their coaches to find a way to correct that and be able to run the ball as well.
They had 56 yards rushing without J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
Split up between 5 players.
Yeah, I think they're going to find a way to get that run game working. I have full confidence in the Chargers. I think
all the Chiefs have to do is lock down Ladd, and the game's over.
The way that I think that this game works is it's a defensive tussle. What's the over-under on this? Defensive tussle with an over-under of 43, and I'd almost be tempted to take the under, like, on this. In this game. Jay, you mentioned him. Our lad McConkey, is he having the best season for the rookie wide receiver class?
Sorry, I was reading the comment. Is he what?
Is Lad McConkey having the best season in this wide receiver class, rookie wide receiver class?
Yeah, because he's definitely their number one and came on to show what he's playing better than Marvin Harrison Jr. He's playing better than Roma Dunze. Malik Neighbors is a fucking freak, though. And if he had a quarterback like Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze is going to be really good too. But Malik Neighbors is a fucking freak of nature. So that might be Lad's having a better season because he has a better quarterback, right? Like, so I don't know how you want to fit that in there. But yeah, he's having the best season.
I think Lad McConkey came in kind of under the radar compared to all of these other guys, and I think he is having the best season. And I think he's having the best season because what I think people want out of a rookie wide receiver is being reliable, and he's the most reliably in the right spot every single time.
Do you remember before the draft when I said I would not cry if the Vikings traded Justin Jefferson to the Giants for 3 first-round picks and took Malik Neighbors?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so, and I love Justin. You know I love Justin, so.
Yeah. Malik Neighbors Malik Neighbors has also been injured as well. So Lad McConkey has also. So Malik Neighbors has dealt with injuries, poor organization, and a poor quarterback room. So Malik Neighbors is the best rookie wide receiver in this class.
Well, Lad's playing the best.
Lad's having the best season. Yeah. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the closest for me, just because he's also looks like he might be the Cardinals' number one wide receiver.
He is. Well. And once they get somebody with like top end speed on the other side of him, it's over. He's going to go nuts.
Yeah, I agree. Jay, lots of worry about the Chiefs. Lots of media worrying about the Chiefs not being able to make it, doing their 3P. Lots of people worrying about them. How are they playing the games against the Raiders so close? How are they playing games against the Panthers so close? Jay, why are people worried about the Kansas City Chiefs?
Because they don't have anything better to do.
Like they don't have anything better to do that.
Yeah, like they're like you got assholes like Dan Orlovsky who just say wild shit. And I like Dan, but he just says wild shit too. And it's the Chiefs did this last year, just in a different way of playing. But they played close games. They figured out how to win. This is what they do. This is the one team I am not worried about.
Yeah, the Chiefs have the same amount of wins this year as they did last year. And they won the Super Bowl last year. Like they're still my favorites to win the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now, but the Chiefs are my favorites to win the Super Bowl just because they're the Kansas City Chiefs and this is what they do. It's the Patriots. On paper, the Patriots weren't the best team in the NFL.
I like Nick Sirianni, but he ain't carrying Andy Reid's baggage. You know what I mean? Like Andy Reid's the man right now in the NFL because he's been doing it for 100 years. Exactly. I don't understand why people are different. It's just I think they're finding it strange. What they see of the Kansas City Chiefs is Mahomes doing crazy plays, throwing the ball around with Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Oh my God. And now they're this stout defensive team that make the plays in the big moment, and people aren't comfortable with that change. And
that's the change.
And that bad man in the backfield's back.
Isaiah Pacheco, the hardest running man.
Yeah.
Like everybody
he hurts the ground when he runs.
Everybody let the center of the earth know that Isaiah Pacheco is returning this week because we need to reinforce the core with the way that he runs into the ground.
So angry.
It's not necessarily running forward angry at the players in front of him.
No, it's the ground.
He pumps his legs like he's angry at the ground. Like it is insane. It's crazy how he runs the ball and he allows them to control a game. Jay, the final game of this week will take place in Dallas with the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 5.5-point favorites on the road.
Fuck the Simpsons. This is the only reason this game didn't get flexed out, and the NFL said it. We paid too much for that Simpsons game. Fuck the Simpsons for making us get stuck with this in fucking prime time. This is a shit game that none of us should have to fucking sit through in prime time. I am so upset about this.
I'm so angry that I have to stay up and watch this Dallas Cowboys team. Like, because I can't sleep while they're playing. Like, while they're playing, I won't be able to sleep. And they kick off. I will be in Latvia by the time this game. No, I won't. I will. I will have landed in Latvia by the time this game kicks off, which means it starts at 20 past 3 in the fucking morning. Like, why do the Dallas Cowboys keep having to play these late fucking games? So annoying. But anyway, my own personal shit aside, the Dallas Cowboys are 5.5-point underdogs here. Jay, are the Bengals defense so bad that the Dallas Cowboys offense can actually get something going here?
Yes, because I think the Bengals are going to win, but I am taking the Cowboys in the points.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm doing the same. I'm taking the Cowboys in the points here as well at 5.5. I think that the Bengals defense is the worst in the NFL. I agree with your overreaction. I think that the Cowboys have shown some form of life in the offense. We've got some semblance of run game behind Rico Dowdle having an 100-yard game. I mean, it was against the fucking Giants and that kind of stuff. Cooper Rush has remembered how to throw a ball further than 10 yards, which is good as well. But mainly, Jay, the big point in this game for me is if the Dallas Cowboys defense hold the Bengals to something, can we start to say that this Dallas Cowboys defense is back?
Yeah, I think they're playing better than they were, and they had some injuries. But again, I think I think a lot of this has to do with Zimmer. I do. I think a lot of it has to do with Zimmer.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the big playmakers are back. You can see the big playmaking from the Dallas Cowboys. That's back. They'll do the big plays. However, they'll get caught out on the simple shit. And I think, honestly, I'm not sure how many players actually understand Mike Zimmer's system. Like, I watch them and I think they haven't re-understood the system. I think they don't get it. Is where I'm at with that. And I think Zimmer, don't overcomplicate it. Be simple. Don't be simple, stupid. Jay, we've already spoke about this as well. Do the Bengals need to think about making coaching changes this season?
Actually, Maddie, change my pick.
Go for it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like CD is going to be much of a factor, if at all, in this game. Yeah, change my pick. I just had to remember CD was injured, and I had to go look, and he re-aggravated it. So, yeah, give me the Bengals minus the 5.5. That scared me a little more. Like, how do you score without CD Lamb if you're the Cowboys?
Yeah. Oh my God, the over/under on this is 49.5.
It should be more like 23.5.
I know, that seems high. That seems high.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take the Bengals, but I do think that the Cowboys will be fine next year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Cowboys will be fine next year. I think they might keep McCarthy now, and I think they might go get a different defensive coordinator. I think it's time to. If I was the Cowboys, I'd use the rest of the games this season to see if Al Harris can be the defensive coordinator in an NFL team. That's what I'd want to see.
Little tidbit for everybody. I once watched a Monday Night Football game at Al Harris's apartment.
Just so cool, man. So cool. Do you reckon we could get him on the show? Well, at the end of the season, obviously.
I met him one time, and that's when I was up there. He's friends of a friend of mine who's friends with Nick Barnett and the other guys. But I do remember he said something to the fact that they're like, oh, he's a Vikings fan. And Al was joking and said, oh, so you hate me? I said, no, just your ugly ass uniform.
All right. Jay, let's round out the show now with our fantasy players to watch. This has been going well for us, I think, so far this season. But Jay, I think this is a really difficult season, a really difficult week for fantasy players as well. I can't see huge potential in a lot of teams here. Jay, who is your first fantasy player of the week to watch?
All right, I'm going to fuck his name up completely, and I tried to get it down earlier. Isaac Granado. The fucking 49ers.
49ers backup running back, yeah.
But he's their starting running back. He's their third string.
Is Mixon out as well?
Yeah, Mason. Yeah, he's starting. So Mason. That's their starting running back this week. So if you need a running back, fuck you, Death Doorstep, for grabbing him before me in the fucking waiver wire. That's my guy for this. That's my first player for this week.
Yeah, for me, guys, my first player of this week is a guy that you should always have in your team for consistency. I've already mentioned it. It is Mike Evans in there for my fantasy players to watch. I said I don't think he can win you a game, but when you look at the way that the fantasy might show up this week, I think he could win you this week just because he always gets his 15 points.
All right. And even though that bad man is back, my second guy, if you need a flex player, Kareem Hunt is my flex this week. Play Kareem Hunt because the Chargers give up passes to the running backs where Kareem Hunt is at his best. So I think Kareem Hunt gives you double digits this week on top. Even though Pacheco is back, I think you get at least 10 with Kareem Hunt.
The Chargers are the top defense in the NFL, but I'd like that as
they do. But if you watch where they're weak, it's the swing passes, the screens. Yeah.
I like that. I like that as well because I think a lot of people will be scared off. But when you look on fantasy and it says the opposition and it says first in big red letters and stuff like that, I think people will be scared off for that. But I think you're right to make that point. They are weak in the swing pass game. Jay, I think if the Titans are going to win the game against the Jags, the man who has to carry them there is Tony Pollard. If you're in a league where Tony Pollard is on someone's bench, I would try and trade for him this evening. I think he is going to be a big player. Tony Pollard this week. Watch out.
All right. And then my third for this week is TJ Hawkinson. It's going to have a big game. Atlanta leaves open the middle of the field. TJ Hawkinson's been back enough now to get back into football shape. Big game from TJ Hawkinson.
I like that one because I feel like he might be on the fringes of who some people are going to pick as well there. Jay, the 49ers haven't been able to get any pass rush available. And I think the man that Caleb Williams looks to in those big moments is Keenan Allen. So give me Keenan Allen as fantasy player number 3 here to go again as a nice, consistent player in a week that I think is going to be really up and down for a lot of people. I think he gets you your 15 to 20 points.
I like that.
Yeah, just going for some consistency, in my 3 picks this week. Jay, great show.
Hey.
We're an hour and 40 minutes here.
One fuck you on the way out the door. In one of my fantasy teams, I have Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson, who are both on a bye.
Yeah, that's tough. Are you not already in? Are you not already into the playoffs though?
Yeah, ones? but I only got 1 loss in that league, and I'd like to keep driving that home. Yeah,
I've got Jaden Daniels in our league. I'm at 2 losses. Yeah, 2 losses I think in our league. And I would like to keep that as well. I would also like to beat Hitman because all of his team are Philadelphia Eagles. But I've got Tua, so at least Tua is a decent player to have in there as well. But yep. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate you for staying around for our long show this time. That was a really fun one. Loads of great bits in there. Jay, send us out like you always do.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you check out MMA Underground every Tuesday. If you missed it yesterday, go back and watch College Football Junkies talking about the whole playoffs panning out and how everything's going to happen in college football. And thank you for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.